Hello, everyone, and welcome to the after chapter discussion for the Vol 9 teaser Singing Ships. There's only a few of us here, so if more people don't show up, then this is going to be a little bit more of an informal discussion. So you can expect that going forward. Wiggles has just put in the link to the doc. The stream summary in the doc is nothing related to the chapter. It is because I thought it would be funny to summarize the 24-ish hours or so of the stream spoilers channel before the chapter dropped, because I was bored. So reactions to this one. I really liked this chapter myself because it was nice. It was nice and calming. It was pleasant. Nothing massive happened, but we got to see a little bit into the minds of the drowned people. We got to see Lamont, who is, I like to say, is our second favorite water-based Earther, whose name starts with L. But I like him, and it's good to see some more people that we don't get to see a lot of. And this chapter felt like it leaned into a big reset at the end of Volume 8 for me. It's leaning in. The board's been kind of wiped clean. The world has all changed. It's time for new adventures. I mean, there's some plot lines are kind of still going on, but in large part, the world's just kind of hit a big reset and get a little bit of exposition on some people that we hadn't gotten to see before. That was kind of my first reactions. Any big reactions from other people to this chapter?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you that it's a very well-structured, smaller chapter. So, in Volume 9 or Volume 8, we've gotten 20K plus to 25K plus basically only chapters. There have been a few lower numbers, in particular in the week of chapters, but that doesn't really count because they're written day after day after day, so it kind of have to be smaller. But this is just a very well-structured, smaller chapter, and it has a definite plot line with just, I mean, there are multiple characters involved, but there's just one dominant point of view, basically. And it's something we haven't seen very much in Volume 8 because it's been so plot driven. So getting back to this kind of smaller chapter with a very restricted point of view in only one location it's really nice to see again. And just it reminds me of like TWI's slice of life type of chapters. It's like the very first parts of it is just getting into the minds of the character. It's experiencing a day with them, and then the end we have this little bit of plot, this little bit of push forward to see what's going to happen in the future and this development in the area around the characters. And I always love that about TWI because a lot of slice of life novels can kind of get bogged down in slice of life being so dominant that it kind of overshadows everything and it feels like nothing's actually happening. But TWI has always done slice of life mixed in with plot, and I've always really liked this, and this chapter just kind of exemplifies that for me.
Yeah, that's another good point. Is that we're getting back to that? I think that the slice of life knocking things down, I think, has been the fact that they write huge amounts of things, so there's more room for extra description and this kind of slice of life thing without taking forever for plot to come in. I think.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, and it's something that not many authors can get away with simply because they don't have the kind of output that Pirate Ava has. So yeah, that's absolutely true.
So I think so. So it was also kind of interesting. I kind of want to note that you're thinking that it's not only a resetting point plot wise, but it also kind of a reset and palette cleanser style wise in the chapter to get back to this get back to one point of view character focus with a bit of promise, as opposed to the all action, all danger, all the time that we've been in the mode of for a while. Anyone else have any reactions? Just general reactions to the tone?
We are probably going back to what Pirate does at the start of every volume, and honestly, I don't know. It kind of feels wasteful because he starts every volume in a very reintroductionary tone, where every character needs a reintroduction, and it kind of and all the chapters are like reintroduce the characters. Although we spent 8 volumes on the book, all the volumes start on that, and I don't know if I. Is it really needed at this point? I don't know. Maybe it's something Pirate likes to do.
It's, I think, a little needed. At least for me, it was needed here. Also, this didn't feel like a reintroduction of characters because we haven't spent a lot of time with Lamont. I'm actually learning how Lamont thinks now as opposed to getting reset up with them. And we haven't talked about drowned folk much at all. So this, I think we're going to, at least for me, we're going to have to wait and see on the whole, whether the next couple of chapters of the official start of Volume 9 are like that, or whether it's...
The chapter felt very introductory to me, and it's like, but yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think you're completely wrong. Like I said, I think, to me, I was saying, I think it feels like we're resetting, we've ratcheted the tension all the way. We've ratcheted a lot of the tension down, and we have these points of conflicts, but the tension's been ratcheted down. The things are over. We're breathing for a while, and we're looking ahead to mostly an entirely new set of things with some of the same characters and some of the different characters. It, in a way that I don't think I've actually really felt before much in TWI.
Yeah, well, I guess I wouldn't agree that I haven't felt that way before. I think the end of Volume 5, in a lot of ways, echoes the end of Volume 8 and how one giant storyline was just like ended and we kind of had a soft reset with everything else going on. But it's definitely on a different order of magnitude to me. Like Volume 8 had so many different storylines coming and ending at the very end and like setting up for the future, whereas Volume 5 was it was a little more focused on just the goblin plotline.
That's fair. That's pretty much all of that. Let's figure out these topics. So just kind of going in order. Figured there's so one of the thoughts I had was the drowned folk are trying to set themselves up as a counter to Wistrom, or at least how Wistrom operated by being, no, we're going to be nice. You're going to have freedom. Yes, we want you, but it's going to be a trade. What do people think of that? Do people think they're actually trustworthy, or are they going to pull a heel turn and start being about it? I personally trust them. I'm taking them how Doromata is saying it, that they're going to, that at least as far as Numbernaught's concerned, I think that they're going to play it honestly. At least that's the impression I got. And so I'm kind of liking seeing that there's some groups that want some advantage out of the Earth squads, but are not trying to be quite as heavy-handed about it as Wistrom is. Anyone else agree, disagree?
In this case, Doromata seems to be a very important representative of Numbernaut. So her opinion that basically they want to treat the Earthers better is something that I think we can rely on a lot to hold a lot of weight for the rest of the city. And I think it's really important that instead of Wistrom, where they're kind of birds in gilded cages where they're treated well, but they're still trapped. Here we see they're distinctly going to get paid. They're going to get paid for helping, but at the same time, they're not going to be supported if they're not helping. So, like, they have an incentive to pay to uh, help the drowned folk, but they aren't trapped there at the same time. They can leave whenever they want. They're not being artificially held up, and so if they don't help, they're not going to be helped, and they can leave if they want to do that. But if they want to help, they're going to be adequately remunerated. So that kind of give and take relationship is already a good sign to me, because it means that they want them to help them, but they also don't want to feel like they're trapping them.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that it's mostly noteworthy because of how much that hasn't been the case. You know, Magnolia was, even from the start, Magnolia was like, all right, well, we're going to shut you in a room because I'm not sure what to do with you, but feel like you're dangerous. Wistrom want to control and get all the things, and so it's kind of pleasant to see. I will note that I don't think it's possible that other drowned folk are not going to be as nice about it, but at least Darumata and Umbernaw will. Also, just wanted to just catch up, for since people are joining in the middle, that since there's still only 10ish people, we're not requiring adding a host to talk on mic if you want to, because that seems a little too heavyweight for 10 people. But if you don't want to talk, then still feel free to say your things in the usual channel and they'll get read. Anyone else in the drowned folk and their methods of merchanting?
I don't know. It's really hard to trust yet. We'll see.
That's fair.
It's like they are very. They seem promising and honest, but they are still a country, and it's still, I don't know.
I think they're more likely to use, like, maybe they'll manipulate and stuff, but I think they're very unlikely to straight up imprison people, even nicely like Wistrom did. But I mean, we saw that the first, like, they started paying people, and immediately one of the Ursers started thinking, yeah, we don't really have a way to make money otherwise, and that seems pretty chill.
Yeah, that aligns with what I was thinking too. That payment is already a good step forward. I like seeing them actually pay for their knowledge rather than just kind of take it.
Yeah, that's always a good sign when you can get a decent start. I do kind of get that trusting in world organizations feels a little wary, but yeah, I'm in for Numbernaught at least. I'm optimistic there. I like this comment about the thinking about the Heartflame gauntlets. I love the Heartflame gauntlets, so I'm really excited if that prediction comes true. I don't know how to evaluate how well I think about the how likely they are going to be on the new Risen subsection of Israel, but I am absolutely happy about it if it does. Is there any particular reason why you thought that would happen?
It's mostly because I'm pushing toward the theory against the theory that it is in the dungeon, and more toward the theory that it's lost at sea rather. And here we have a large portion of the land just being raised from the sea, as well as the fact that the way it was done was a bit odd, because one, it doesn't seem to have been done in a way that secures the Gnoll's actual large benefits, and B, the way the Gnoll's ghost hid himself until the last moment to come and do this screams a very much I forgot their name. How do you call those tricksters?
Faye?
No, the dwarf one, the one that messed up the gods.
The
Oh, the
gnomes?
gnomes?
Yeah, it screams very much gnome trickery and schemes to me. The way they waited for the last the gnoll spirits waited for the last moment to appear and do their mess. We'll see.
For me, it's definitely possible in my mind that this kind of the deep midnight gorge is referring to, somewhere underwater. So now it's in this new continent. And I also see it could be in the dungeon. That's probably, I think that's the most likely place in my mind, the Liscor's dungeon, I should say, the Mother Grave location. Like, I think that area is the most likely right now, but I do have a second or a third theory, I should say, that it's even possible that it's next to or in the kingdom of the Knolls, because that kind of matches uh this whole riddle we have. So it's the kingdom of the Knolls. We know it's in a deep midnight gorge. Basically, it's really far under the ground, uh, where Drake's hubris met Forts of Stone. So this, like, you can think of this as like a Drake City meeting a Fort of Stone or something like that, or like just a Drake City in general meeting a Fort of Stone and then sinking to depths unmatched alone. Or you can think of it in kind of like a Drake hero went up against the Knoll Kingdom and kind of died along with the Knoll Kingdom and sunk below with them. So I think I kind of really like that theory right now, is that it's in the Knoll Kingdom rather than in this new location or in the Mother Graves dungeon.
That's kind of cool. I never associated Forts of Stone with the Knolls, so I think I hadn't thought about that. But that would be pretty cool. Also, hi Oshi, you have things to say. We're almost getting to the number of people where we're gonna start peeing again, but I don't think we're quite there yet.
Okay, first off, there are not enough people here, and this is your fault, Discanter. You should do these things earlier so I can tell people to show up. I just finished recording an episode with Delta on the No Killing Goblin shit, and I realized something about how Pirate writes, especially with this teaser thing that came out. I think somewhere along the way, the teaser that they wrote used to be a chapter. Essentially, this would have been a chapter, right? It had a relatively reasonable story structure, beginning, middle, and end. If they released this, do you think people would have been happy with it? Like, as a chapter?
I would have been happy with it.
I mean, what do you guys think? Did you think it would be happy with it? Like, I genuinely think if Pirate just released this bit, it would have been fine. It would have been great. And then they could have just continued the story afterwards in another thing. People get so mad at different perspectives, but I love this, right?
Yeah, it's great. Maybe as a prologue or something. Like, I feel like the first chapter of the new volume has to have a bit of Aaron in it.
Well, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
just for a volume structure. But
I
as
was
a
thinking
prologue
that.
thing, it works perfectly well.
Not even
As
as a
a
prologue. I mean, after they do whatever they want to do with the start of Volume 9, just if this was a normal weekly chapter, I would have loved it.
yeah,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, as long as it wasn't like the actual start of Volume 9.
No.
I
I think no offense to Pirate, but I think at that point somebody would have tracked them down and gone like, "What the fuck are you doing, man?"
Because I think we can all agree that we want Aaron as the start of Volume 9. But no, I definitely really enjoyed this chapter as like a smaller little chapter. Like, say this was released as the chapter before the break. It would have been perfect. It's just a small little chapter focus on uh, a different separate part of the world where we can see a little plot development, a little slice of life from characters we left off on at the end of Volume 8. So yeah, like if this is just a good little slice of a chapter, and it has a concrete base to it. I really like it.
I know we're talking about the structure, but did you guys talk about the specific subject matter of the chapter? Like how it I came late, so I'm just asking.
A little bit of it, but not most of it.
Did you see the image that nobody posted that showed what like the theoretical way the Great Plains were expanded? That it's not
I
like up and down, it's like across the continent.
That
So
was
it's
the
like,
one I made.
yeah,
I made
the
that.
Mr. Wiggles made, yeah. It's a really I don't know if you all saw it, but it's a really nice image that gives you a good idea of what happened. Let me look. Oh,
I,
Wait, like that, but surely the new place just has the one coastline.
here's the thing. It would have coastline on each side of the continent. The other
Yeah,
aspect to keep in mind is that we don't know what the waterways in this region is like. Some of it was described as desert, some of it was described like if it's been raised from the ocean floor. I mean, the environment has to be completely desolate, right?
yeah.
I'm never sure when
And
magic
grassy.
happens.
I think the
Desolate
main
and
reason.
grassy. Because now
The main
it's all
reason.
covered in
Oh, sorry.
grass.
Okay, go ahead, nobody. Go ahead, nobody. Say what you wanted to say.
No, it was just a comment. It's no longer desolate. It was now covered with grass on the rise.
Oh, that's right, because the great
Yeah, he cast the eternal grass thing, and now it's all covered in grass. So no, it's not actually desolate.
Oh, what were you gonna say, Mr. Year? I'm taking this over. Just canter.
Sorry, I got you. Yes, but
You're
Mr.
in
was going to
charge.
say.
The main reason why I don't think this is the case is it just completely separates the walled cities. It just like it feels like that's a really dumb way of giving the gnolls their like some land or giving like for the gnolls to do. Like if it just expanded the continent out to the west, for example, seems like it would make a lot more sense for what they were trying to achieve. And also, the other thing is, if this was the case, as in this is great for audio media, like all the listeners will be able to really understand this. But for in the image that Wiggles made, it also creates a giant new pass into the eastern section of southern Israel. Like usually there's just a mountain pass through to Salazar and Fisival. This just seems like it's just such a ridiculous change of everything, and not in anyone's favor, really.
What?
Just feels like
Okay.
it's much more logical for
First
it
off,
to have
why
opened.
would it not be in everyone's favor if the land was done this way? You've reduced both Oteslia and Xeris' influence. You've separated the majority of the Drake lands into like they're the middle of Israel now, and here's this giant open land that anyone can claim that is all available to any settlers that arrive here, and there is no one to like the Drakes can do all they want to fight it, but doesn't mean they have any prior claim to it. And it's obvious that this actually works from a political perspective too, because now you have this giant area in the what's the left side? It's the west.
Yes. West.
In the west, that will encompass the entirety of the Great Plains, and the Knolls will have more room to exist in. And then on the eastern side, you have all this like there's so much space now, and it's harder for the Drakes to like work together and to coordinate. Even the Antinium could like if they could gain a little bit of access to ocean, they could like sail around the cities and claim land, and it's a whole. It changes the situation. You're thinking of it as the ghosts were trying to create some kind of political leverage or save them. No, all they wanted to do was assure that there was space for them, because that was what Pirates' thematic thing was, that the Nulls were constantly reduced and pushed into less and less land. Well, now there's tons of more land, so they're not pushed together anymore.
And everyone in the world is coming to try to get a piece of it now.
Exactly.
So it's a little hard to it's a little hard to tell how that's going to shake out. I think there's a the how is the shakeout of this giant new part of Israel going to work? I think that's actually another topic on this that's on here a little later down, but it's probably good to go into now. Is are the Nulls going to win? I mean, not win as in control the whole thing, but are they going to come out ahead because of this? Are Drakes? Is it going to be a case where it's a net benefit for people? Is this going to be the next big war zone? What have you going on?
I'll just say that new land in new unexplored lands tend to kind of get fought over like a lot, especially in the case of like Inworld, where you have Inworld is weird. So a lot of Inworld is explored. It's like not in depth explored, but they know the bounds of the world. There are people on every continent, but at the same time they're not
You're in a
like super
fishbowl.
population dense. So even though this new land could have some conflict around it, I don't think it will be a huge amount, simply because there are a lot of untamed wildlands in northern Israel, and you don't see a lot of people going there just to claim them.
Because okay, Mr. Wiggles, you're presupposing that northern Israel has not been fought over by 4 different groups for thousands of years.
That's true.
The
There
Drakes
there
have
have been a lot of
literally
wars
been
over it.
fighting the Nulls and Drakes have been literally fighting the humans for thousands of years. You're actively ignoring that the history of this world is about conflict over control of empty land.
That seems fair, and there's untamed land there, but there's not. It's not unclaimed on a intercontinental scale, I guess is a thing. It's there's untamed land up there that's kind of roughly under one of the families. Most of it's under one of the families at least influence, if not constantly patrolled and citified. They're like this is our area, and people kind of know that.
It's hard for me. Like I'm one of the big advocates for why are the Drakes getting away with all this shit? Why are the Nulls not getting more help in their stuff? But honestly, from active, like from a geopolitical perspective, when I think about all the new lands being added, I think it's a net positive for the Nulls, because it gives them a chance to claim more land and to do it from a position of, here are all of these new people who are coming along who also want land. And guess what there is? And guess who? They all have one singular enemy, the Drakes. They may be competing with each other, but why bother fighting each other when they could just make some agreements, split up the land, and then tell the Drakes to go take a shit somewhere else?
Fair.
Yeah, giving the Knolls more diplomatic options than just the Antinium is probably a good idea.
Yeah. Just this chapter demonstrates something that's intensely amazing. The ocean floor shifted, and the undersea folk are forced to come to land. They've claimed an actual open port. You know who's always controlled most of the ports in like southern Israel and been a significant? Xeris. Now there is a literal secondary port of equal, and I'm guessing because it's the undersea, of maybe even better quality elsewhere on the continent that's not connected at all to the Drakes.
Well, the
Or
sea
the
part of
humans.
it, I think, the sea part of it certainly is going to be of higher quality. I don't think anyone would argue against the drowned people being a greater sea force than the drakes
essentially,
overall.
and that puts an intense amount of pressure on the Drake. Because part of what the advantage that the Drakes had in southern Israel is that they killed everybody else, and then they took control of the region, and they blocked everybody else out. Now there's this giant open space that's being claimed, and they have no way of blocking them. And what's left? Okay, I'm kind of like beating on Wiggles.
That's fair, but I actually thought that the drowned folk rising up and having a port was also a really interesting thing. I was kind of wondering how solid that was, or if the drakes are going to try to kick them out of it, or what have you. Someone was trying to say something.
I think. I wasn't gonna say anything, but I'll say something now. I think the Drakes are gonna have a lot more problems than just this one drowned city port. So we also saw like the half elves coming to explore as well. So they also have to deal with land exploration of all this new land, and there's all this new stuff that they have to worry about. So it it's not going to be just a one city that's cropping up that's an issue for them, so they can only focus on that. They'll have to focus on a lot more things too, as well as the gnolls, who obviously are not going to be on very good terms with the majority of Drake cities. I think they'll be on good terms with I want to say good in quotations terms on with Palace, Oteslia, and Salazar. But Manus, Xeres, and Fisival, they're still pretty darn mad at. So I think the Drakes have a lot of things to worry about right now that they can't necessarily deal with this whole issue, this whole new city issue with Nobernot being.
That seems reasonable. Not to mention all of the other nonsense over the new lands. It may be that it may also be a losing proposition to kind of go to war over a patch that now has over a relatively small patch of the new area that already has a pretty large force in it. Maybe a sense of, well, the drowned people number not got there and is there, and if you go to war over that, you're going to lose out over everything else, including a lot of the opportunity there.
Well, Kel just showed up. Mr. The map that you're showing, I dislike the idea of that map because I wanted it to be like this. It made no sense to me to make a wedge in the continent because I didn't want there to be a wedge. A wedge doesn't make sense in my mind. A wedge is like I added this seafloor and just stuck it onto it. It's like the subcontinent being stuck onto it. Mostly because it felt like that wedge would be more easy for the Drakes to like fuck with. Because that's just one giant area that the Drakes can surround and just march their armies through, claim, and be like, fuck you, get the fuck out. Whereas,
I don't think what does make sense to you? Sorry, was that Kel?
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be that simple with the way they've been talking about what that new land might hold. If the Gnoll Archmages split the continent and split the Drake walled cities away from each other, they're going to have a lot of danger in trying to cross that to reestablish
that's what I'm saying.
roads and whatnot.
Yeah, Kel, but that's what we're arguing over. So Mr. Wiggles has a map and Mr. Europe has a map, and it's like two different versions because we're not sure how Pirate had split the continent. So Mr. Europe is espousing that it didn't make sense for the Null Archmages and their shamans and spirits to create a split in the entire continent. Instead, what they did was they created this wedge and expanded out like how the Indian subcontinent is like dangling off of Asia. Versus, can you see the maps in the live chat? Yeah, so that's different.
Like to explain, like what the idea is, like the basic idea that I have in my mind is it's like an apple in a roasted pig's mouth. Like they opened it up and just like stuck a big landmass in there, and like it protrudes like a bit, but it's mainly the western part of Israel is just bigger.
See,
So,
I think
oh,
I like the
sorry.
idea better of Wiggles' map. I mean, it's not going to be that even, but I like the idea of them splitting the walled cities away from each other.
Yeah, so just that map, by the way, is just like really bare bones. I just like kind of, split the whole continent in half, basically. I don't think that's necessarily exactly what happened, but I think it's more likely than a bit being added on to the west side, like Mysterious map.
I think the west side might have most of the new land, but I like the idea that it went from like that indent west of Oteslia and like split up toward that mountain range by Salazar.
I'll have to admit, the Western Israel has always felt just large and fuzzy to me. I've never had a great sense of Western Israel to start with, and so putting more things in it is hard for me to imagine.
You mean
Yeah, that's
southern
the
Israel?
Yeah, yes, southwest, the western part of southern Israel. That's what I'm talking.
that's because it's all just knoll plains.
Yeah.
And if most of the null planes are there, then it sort of makes sense in some way that a lot of the stuff gets added, since they said one of the major effects of this was tripling the size of the null planes.
Exactly.
All right. Anything else on people have on land masses on the where they might be? What's going on with them? I guess the other thing is, are they going to be filled with? You mentioned that there's going to be there was the theory. Sorry, there was the theory that they were going to have the Heart Flame fort there, or what else? Like, is this essentially land? How likely is it for this to be filled with dungeons and adventuring opportunities and things, or is it mostly
Very
land to grow and build on and live
Very.
in?
Yeah, I'm with
bold.
Cal.
I think so. I'm again with Kel and Oshi here that it's very likely, and we already saw a part of that where I'll just quote a part of this, a part of the chapter. It says, "A wild world awaited, and not all flat. Mountains had risen, and in the distance, a broken city was visible on the horizon." So just on the coastline already, we see a broken city right there. So and not to mention even just the animals like here's another quote: "The corpse of a giant shellfish with too many legs rotting in the distance." So this is a very big shellfish, and I'm just going to guess it's magical in some way. So we might even see a dead kraken just like sitting on the land, and that kind of opportunity to get these ocean-based, deep sea magical ingredients is never going to come again for a lot of these people. So just exploring this and getting all these new ingredients, these new magical opportunities, and ruins like this broken city, that's going to be a huge deal in this new place, in this new continent or new landmass.
I see
What are the
Noel.
odds that
Oh, go
you
ahead.
go ahead, Kill? Oh. I was just going to ask, what are the odds that the Antinium are already digging a new southern tunnel?
That'd be really cool. I don't know if they're like on top of that right away, since they're kind of at war with the Drakes, and getting there already might be an issue, but it would be cool to see the Antinium exploring the lands too, with all the new races to Israel who don't have as much prejudice against them.
I
Not to mention,
see, hopefully, Noel's taking advantage of that newly revealed explorer history and going out and like building outposts so they
you
have
have to
something to
imagine
fall
that there's
back
other
to
people.
and like just exploring the shit out of that and taking in anybody but Drake's that wants to join them.
Well, it doesn't have to be anybody but Drake's, but the idea is that there should be like legacy classes. If Gnolls were once explorers, then doesn't that mean there's hidden classes that will like reveal themselves if the Gnolls push themselves, right?
I mean, there's hidden classes for everyone who's pushing themselves, I think, in World. I don't think this is new.
I was thinking. Sorry, I'm thinking more about how the goblins have soul bards. Maybe there's a Gnoll explorer class that we've never heard of. I mean, we had flying Gnolls. How did they learn to fly? They had to have had something.
Well, that's a fair point, but I think it doesn't feel to me as much legacy as it feels, I mean, rediscovering, or just new stuff and new things. But I definitely agree. I agree that them getting back to the explorers is great. I want to see more explorers personally. I'm excited to see more explorer adventurer kind of classes myself.
I mean, we've seen dungeon delving, but we've never really seen exploration, right?
Yeah, we haven't seen exploration. We got the Journal of the Earther who became an explorer and died. We've heard a couple of stories about explorers, the brief references, but we've never really seen here's a bracketed explorer going off and doing their thing.
We did see them on Neravia's news channel when they got eaten by crocodiles.
I don't feel like that's showing us the best and brightest of explorers.
No, but it was still really funny.
I would love to see a new explorer section though, just like going through this new land and seeing everything. Like, I don't know, we haven't seen much of that at all in TWI, except those kind of sections and kind of like getting earther perspectives on things. That's kind of like new exploration of old lands, and the high passes, I guess, like going in and seeing the high passes, that's kind of like exploration, but just like a dedicated explorer point of view would be so cool. I would love that.
Absolutely agreed.
I have wanted like explorers and historians and whatnot to do some dungeon diving for ages now.
That's
To
a good
me, the
point.
big... Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead.
I was just agreeing and saying explorers would be a great sort of not necessarily super combat focused addition to a dungeon delving team. Mostly saying, right on, Kel, that would be beautiful. Go on.
Creatures are still appearing, right? What are the chances that one appears on this continent somewhere stranded and they have to like survive for themselves?
An earther?
Yeah. 'Cause
I mean, we
rich
kind of have that in Vis. But I guess she's not really stranded by herself. She's just on a island that has very few people. But I don't know. I don't think TWI really does the whole someone's just straight up alone with no interactions with other people. Like the closest we gotten to that is like Torin, basically, in the dungeon. And even then, he was constantly finding adventurers to interact with. But I don't know if TWI really does the whole only alone POV, no interactions with any other people.
Yes, a lot
Spoilers for Gravesong.
Fair. I don't know. I think a lot of TWI. I mean, I just thought a lot of TWI. I think a lot of almost all books is around the interaction of people's goals and things, and it's the completely alone survival thing is definitely a thing, but it's I think a little unusual kind of across the board. And you're right, we haven't seen it in TWI, though it would be, I feel like it would be kind of an interesting world building thing of look at this thing, a lens to see, here's this thing that we haven't looked at before.
How do you make exploration fun? Like,
How
read
do
it.
you not make exploration fun?
No,
Like there's new
reading
things
it.
over every
Yeah, but how do
hill.
you
There's
make
weird
it
stuff.
fun for the reader? Like, how do you get someone to a point where the exploration is fun for the reader? What's Pirate going to do to make it exciting? Just telling us
Lore?
what?
Lore?
So, Lord
History?
of okay.
Like discussing, like you could have somebody go into the dungeon and do research on even the Liscore dungeon and the Lesser Guardians and talk about other Lesser Guardians that have been found elsewhere. Talk about like the stuff they know about like the Labyrinth of Souls and the other dungeons that have similar monsters or similar threat levels. There's tons of information out there. I mean, you would have to have somebody show up who's explored these other dungeons or places or whatever, but like, yeah, there's a lot of possibilities out there. I
I'm
mean,
very skeptical.
the
If only
Horns have talked about like tapestries and art and stuff that have been found, letters from somebody to somebody else, stuff like that, like they sell to like rare collectors for a lot of money. That's all lore stuff that could be explored.
It wasn't very long, but we had a whole section about people dismantling dungeon traps for cash, and that was really interesting.
okay,
Very
here's the
good.
thing though. That was interesting in passing mention, and that's like pieces, but how do you make the narrative of exploration sustainably exciting for everybody involved? Because you're talking about specific aspects of selling what they find, working with what they find, revealing information through what they find. These are all tools for Pirate to accomplish something. But I'm very skeptical of explorers being like main characters. I don't know how Pirate's going to pull it off. I don't remember. I haven't read a lot of exploration fiction, like just normal novel fiction. So when I think about it, like, have you guys read any books that are all about exploring a new land or travel logs or something like that?
Does Hatchet count?
Hatchet,
Hatchet, survival thing, guy.
Hatchet, Cherry Project.
No, it's Hatchet, the axe.
Hatchet, the book you had to read in middle school.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Fucking hell. I don't remember
Me
that.
neither.
I don't even remember that. It's been so long. I never read Hatchet. I know other classes had to, but I don't remember Hatchet.
I mean, I don't think it'd be the whole volume of nothing but exploration, but 15, 20K chapter or two
Yeah, but
would be. It would be interesting to me to see things that we hadn't seen before. Learn what the heck's in this new area or what have you.
I feel like a doubly downer when I say this, but Pirate is not someone who's happy to reveal things. I don't see them doing it. But that's
Things
back
don't
to
get revealed; they clobber you in the face.
yeah, exactly. They like to wait till you're least suspecting and then clobber you in the face, not like reveal it exploration wise. That would be a huge change in how they write.
That's fair.
But I'm being a Debbie Downer. It could happen. It could happen. I don't know. It's volume 9. Anything could happen.
I actually forgot what chat we're supposed to use for talking in the like pinging you guys and stuff like that.
You don't
We
have
don't
to
have to.
ping, it's just a small discussion, just
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, we're getting to almost enough people that we're going to have to again, but
Doesn't
not
seem
quite there.
Yeah.
If you would, it would be in the talks and reactions comments, though. Also, if things are happening and and you're having trouble jumping in because of you are not wanting to interrupt people or you're not finding a good spot to jump in, then please do ping, and we'll make sure to clear out some space for you to talk. I should add.
Okay, yeah, I just joined in late. I wasn't sure where we were. That's why I was asking.
It's a free-ranging discussion of topics about stuff that's going to happen.
Pretty much.
Cool.
Hey, Mr. Wiggles, can you give Edmund a loser tag or a role? Or not loser. What was it? Was it loser?
I think I have it. Didn't you give it to me already?
No, I think I missed out.
Oh.
There's definitely a
bet.
class.
He lost a bet. Oh, he did get the bet loss. roll. Never mind.
I just put
Oh,
it on him.
Yeah. Okay.
and well, I never explained it to everyone in chat, but I bet that I knew how Aaron was going to res, and I was obviously wrong. So that's why I have it.
So people aren't doing that. I had a couple ocean things I wanted. I was curious about if here is so. One of the things they hit me was the Krakens. Kraken's pass is gone. Krakens are roaming about the ocean, which is kind of terrifying. Is that kind of flavor and a bit of fear, or are we going to see Krakens now waylaying ships and showing up and wreaking havoc all over the place?
I felt that was maybe like a little bit of a cliff that pirate was throwing in that they sometimes end up being, not actually something really big important.
Yeah, I can certainly see in the future that it might not be too important, but it I could see where it could have some significant impact on uh ocean travel, because as we know, just everyone is petrified of even making noises when they previously went through Kraken Pass, just so they had no chance of waking up Krakens. But now it's like the Krakens are loose. They're on the warpath. They've been woken up. So it could have some. I could definitely see like we could get some news, basically some Wisdom news segments about how uh uh trade, water trade, ocean trade, I should say, is effectively like ruined right now because the Krakens are about.
It's not just the past either. Remember they said the tidal streams have changed, like the streams.
Oh
Yeah.
yes, the ocean currents that people relied on for fast world travel are all mucked up.
And I remember hearing that particular stream was actually magically created to make travel easier, and now it's gone, and they don't have a way of replicating it. So, how?
Something else I didn't see anybody really mention, but what's Tyrion's child? I don't remember if it was Samuel or Heathen, but they were at sea with the carriers, right?
Yes.
Going back to Israel or
Mhm.
Yeah.
something. So something could have happened to him, maybe. I don't know.
Well, let's hope not. I don't want anything bad to ever happen to Samuel. Okay? Samuel is the best kid around. There's nothing wrong with him. He's great.
You're a
He's
terrible
fantastic.
person.
I don't want anything to happen to them until they get back, at least. I think that there's been enough of that. I think there needs to be, I think he needs to make it back at least, and then more bad things can happen.
Yeah, I'm kind of tired of the kids in danger moving the plot thing.
I could see something happening though, but yeah.
Well, it's logically, given all the things that are going on, possible. I think it's more what I'm looking forward to and want to see rather than what I think could theoretically happen. It's obviously possible for bad things to happen to them on the way back, or for any number of reasons.
I actually assumed
Sorry.
bad things was going to happen to them because Ryoga taught them how to see stuff. So I'm like, oh, well, they're going to see, a last tide creature and something bad was going to happen, but that never happened.
The only reason I think something might happen to Samuel is that he's on the ocean because of a Ryoka idea and plan, and those historically don't tend to go well ever. So clearly his ship is just gonna sink, and he's gonna end up on Goblin Island.
That's a fair point about Ryoga.
I'm going to extend that to all plans. I have often talked about TWI as the summary of the web novel as where no one ever gets where they're going, and if they do, it's never when they want to get there. So that just happens all over the place, I think, in the whole thing.
You know,
You
I
were saying?
never really considered this, but instead of Mersha isn't really a Doombringer because of her wife her. She's a Doombringer because she learned from Ryoka. Just screwing up all of her plans.
Ugh. I thought she learned from Aaron, but sure.
Hey, Aaron
Hey,
does
Aaron's
great.
plans
Okay.
frequently turn out.
Okay, Kel. Okay. You, Mr. Europe, Mr. Wiggles, everybody else who thinks Aaron's plans frequently turn out well.
No
Aaron's
one's
great.
plans turn
I
out
didn't
well, is my
say
point.
turn out well. I said they frequently turn out.
Oh, okay, there we go. That's better. I agree.
Fair enough. So let's see. I think we're getting on an hour in. I figure it's about time to wrap up recording with something interesting. So unless anyone's got anything vital on these points, and just thinking, we're about to have a big discussion about Volume 9, or ask what people wanted to hear in Volume 9. But what do you when we get to the very beginning, what do you think the first thing is going to happen when Aaron wakes up?
Or hugs.
Conversations and
More
hugs.
hugs. All of the hugs.
I like both of those.
Cry.
Are we asking what we want in Volume 9? Is that what we're doing?
No, I'm saying what the first thing on waking up is going to be.
I already
Or what you would want.
established yesterday in Quilly's crack theory thing that Aaron being proactive will not happen.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Do you hear that, Pirate? Let me enunciate this for you. Kel thinks that Aaron will not be proactive. Prove them wrong. And if you
No,
don't,
that was my crack theory was that she would be proactive, and I was literally laughed down in that discussion.
I know what it is, and I'm saying that, okay, I apologize. I mistook it. Every single person laughed because the possibility of Aaron actually doing something is laughable. I hold out hope, but it's laughable.
But let me make something clear. Even if she'll be proactive this volume, she probably won't be proactive for the first 5 chapters or arcs. She needs wind down chapters from the action.
Oh yeah, she has time for a wind down. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Everyone has time for winding down.
So even if she's not proactive in the first chapters, let's not judge too quickly. That's all I'm saying.
I'm just going to judge. No, I'm going to judge. I'm just going to judge.
Of course, you're Aussie. You always judge.
I'm going to judge based on 8 volumes of historical data.
Which is that Aaron will never do a goddamn thing. Anyway.
She does some things. Yeah.
I think on the first thing, it'll be coffee. I hope. It needs to be something small, something relatable, something simple that comes up, and I think it'll be coffee is the first thing that we'll talk, smell or
Get
hear.
her working on her witch's brews.
That's what I'm talking about. She can't brew anything. Maybe she'll make coffee. At least that's achievable.
Well, brewing is not the same thing as alcohol brewing.
Oh,
that is true. And she only has alcohol brewing. She doesn't have.
She got the witch's brewing.
Oh,
version.
You're right.
So she's got that, and she's got one to spare. She can sit in the inn and play around in the kitchen. That's calm stuff that this is Erin, so she might actually explode something.
Exactly.
But it's theoretically calm stuff that she could be doing while she recovers.
That's why I said coffee. She can't blow up. Oh, fuck. I just jinxed it, didn't I? She's going to blow up coffee.
Nah, Aaron's going to spend 3 chapters trying to figure out how to give somebody a quest.
I'm excited for that.
I don't know. I just want something simple and how do I say this? It's something she can share with everybody else, something they can share with her. I'm hoping Leonette brought some coffee back from Lauteslia, and then she just here, I got coffee. Let's make coffee. Let's have breakfast together. And she has breakfast with Mersha, Leonette, Numb Tongue, Bird, and I don't know. No one else. That's her family. Ryoka's not
pretty-
around. Whatever.
I'm pretty sure they already have coffee at list score.
No, remember they only have the bean. They don't have coffee, the drink. They don't have caffeine like that.
Yeah, the only like some of Embria Lieutenant brought coffee beans, and that's like they don't have anything more than just a few beans.
Pirate did this thing where they mentioned it twice that what is her name? Imani was working on coffee, but we never actually see it. I think there was wasn't there a short mention when we saw Celis in the Ralph chapter?
Imani was working on boba tea.
Boba tea. Okay, never mind. Not even coffee. Oof. Okay.
Boba tea.
God, which is basically milk. Let's be real. Dairy.
Tasty milk, but milk.
It's
How
milk.
long? How long will it take Erin to go toward River Farm? She has the witches and Lerken and Goblin as motivation. How many chapters will it take for us to actually head there?
4 volumes.
I'm hoping that Pirate takes the step to expand the portal, because at this point, if they don't, there's just too many limitations to Aaron right now, and the only way around them is the portal. Once the portal is up and you have access to different points, it's still only one door. It can't go everywhere all the time, but it does give Aaron the ability to quickly travel between the hotspots within the realm of her influence, which is essentially River Farm, or as far as River Farm, and that's it.
Yeah, it's the door or something with the garden. Like, I don't see any other obvious, relatively simple way.
Cherry Arc. That's
Maybe
the only
she
other
could
solution.
give a quest to upgrade the door.
Oh wow, she could do that. Well, I don't see. Do you think that'll happen, Emil?
Who
Well,
upgraded the
well, we
door?
don't know how quests work, but if they work like off memories, maybe I don't know. She could give like a quest to called the Enchanter guy in Versil, or
Adult.
yeah, or maybe Octavia.
All right.
I don't know what would happen.
Edmund is has, if they want to make Boba Cade, they'll have to they might need to team up with Hectful since there's Jello there.
I don't think boba's made out of gelatin, is it?
I thought it was tapioca.
Imani,
It's tapioca balls. It's not gelatin.
Usually. Sometimes
Imani
usually.
commented on it and said she needed some kind of more gelatin-like substance for it because she didn't have anything that fit properly.
Yep, and
That's
then
fair.
that led straight into having all the canned foods in Hectful.
All right. Someone's got things that they desperately want. I'm going to close out the recording, but I have something for you, if you will bear with me for a moment. Since this chapter was called Singing Ships, I have a song of the sea to leave you with. So, this is a song, Hold On to Your Pride, a warning to Welfars, about some survival tips for sailors. Oh, lads and lasses who have yet to sail the ocean vast, it gets fearsome lonely staring at your ship's own mast. There's countless beauties of the brine in skeleton, shell, and hide, but if you want to grow as old as me, you'll hold on to your pride. Hold on to your pride, my boy, or the depths will suck you in and grant you one last cold embrace of tentacle and fin. So heed my words, come what may, or sink beneath the tide. Appreciate the sights at sea, but hold on to your pride. In a gale you'll meet a boat with a fierce crew easy on the eyes. They'll flash their blades and beckon you to revel in their prize. And oh, those storm pirates can perform on the roughest deck. But when done with the dance, then they'll take that chance to open up your neck. Hold on to your pride, my boy, or the depths will suck you in. They'll grant you one last cold embrace of tentacle and fin. So heed my words, come what may, or sink beneath the tide. Appreciate the sights at sea, but hold on to your pride. Keep your wits about you when you travel off the seas. The nobles of North Israel are most difficult to please. To warn you of one danger lurking inland from the coast, you'll tangle tongues with Reinhardts, you'll wake up with ancient ghosts. Hold on to your pride, my boy, or the depths will suck you in. They'll grant you one last cold embrace of tentacle and fin. So heed my words, come what may, or sink beneath the tide. Appreciate the sights at sea, but hold on to your pride. Twins, a prince and princess, both fell for a merfolk's charms. That sleek and muscled tail, those shining scales upon his arms. They left it there, good fortune when invited to his reeve, then shivered when he revealed his second row of teeth. Hold on to your pride, my boy, or the depths will suck you in. They'll grant you one last cold embrace of tentacle and fin. So heed my words, come what may, or sink beneath the tide. Appreciate the sights at sea, but hold on to your pride. My great-grandfather traced a drowned ship captain across the sea. He swore he'd never seen a catch as bountiful as she. She trapped him, so the story goes, into a watery grave. But I tell you, I've got second cousins living in the waves. Hold on to your pride, my boy, or the depths will suck you in. They'll grant you one last cold embrace of tentacle and fin. So heed my words, come what may, or sink beneath the tide. Appreciate the sights at sea, but hold on to your pride. And there you go.
Good song. I liked it. I'm clapping.
Clap, clap.
I love the chorus.
I was a little proud of that chorus, yes. I will admit.
You should be. It's an excellent chorus.
Yes. If anyone has, sea shanty music that they would like to put to this, please let me know.
And that concludes today's discussion of the interlude Singing Ships. Hopefully you enjoyed Descantor and you enjoyed his new song. Join us next time on TWI Talks ACD.